The verbal abuse was the worst I've ever heard. Killed the police, shame on you, arrest your own. And then to me personally, that I should be raped and murdered.
Somebody said that to your face?
More than one person said that to me, yes.
Sergeant Imogen Hurst was right in the thick of the crowd at the Sarah Everard vigil. She says there were groups there less concerned about peaceful observance, set instead on confrontation.
It was just very, very violent. There were a lot of pushing and shoving. I was personally assaulted. I was hit 3 times in the chest.
But a fortnight on from the events which caused such widespread alarm, many who were there in the crowd believed the police could have adopted a more hands-off approach.
They're not being held accountable for what went down. They're not being held accountable for creating the situation that they found themselves in. Placing blame on us and others and the women that arrived on the night seems quite evident to me to be evidence of the systemic misogyny within the Met Police.
Her Majesty's Inspector of Constabulary, who looked in great detail at the way in which the vigil was policed, said it had been extremely complex and challenging. The police, they conclude, acted appropriately and were not heavy-handed. For senior commanders here at Scotland Yard, this report is an almost complete vindication of the policing operation on the 13th of March. In fact, some of the few criticisms in the report are mainly focused on the senior politicians who were quick to condemn the police tactics.
People, not just politicians, but there were others, need to be quite careful about jumping to conclusions before they've got to the bottom of facts. Particularly, of course, because in doing so, there's always a danger that you can undermine public confidence in policing and just make things more difficult in the future.
The London Mayor, effectively the Met Commissioner's boss, was one of the first to criticise the policing of the vigil at the time, describing it as neither appropriate or proportionate. However, the Home Secretary, who described the scenes at the time as upsetting, has now thrown her complete support behind the police.
Quite frankly, I was absolutely appalled and sickened to see the level of violence that was being displayed to police officers.
But whatever the official report concludes, there's the public perception of high-profile events like the Clapham Vigil, and that can prove far more difficult to change. Mark White, Sky News.